making a difference in our community. That's what we do. I'm Lillian McMorris, and welcome to the Lillian McMorris Show. Today we're going to be talking to Dr. Robert Green. Now, Dr. Green has retired several times. He's been principal of this, president of that. We're going to get into all of that, and then moving to Las Vegas about quite a few years ago, actually, retiring again, per se, but that hasn't happened. We have an absolutely wonderful program in Las Vegas, or rather in Southern Nevada, called My Brother's Keeper, and he is the state chairperson of My Brother's Keeper. But I'm going to first get a little background on him and why he's the best person for this job. And first, I'd like to welcome Dr. Robert Green. Let's welcome Dr. Green.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Happy to be here, and thank you for having me on your show.
Well, you are very welcome, and I'm happy to have you. I just want to know, how did you make all those transitions and end up in Las Vegas, Nevada?
Well, my career was always issue-based. For example, at Michigan State, even though I was a professor and a dean there, I got involved in school desegregation cases as the national expert witness for the NAACP, and that carried me to various communities where I did work for the NAACP as their expert. Okay. But job-based, basically.
No, hold on. You're going a little fast here, because I see a picture of you and Dr. King. Now, and I'm going to show this to everybody. You all will get to see it. So tell me a little history, a little story about this.
Okay. I first met Dr. King in 1955 or 6. I was a young man, 22, 3 years of age, married, driving a yellow cab driver in San Francisco part-time and going to school. And I heard that he was speaking during the keynote address at the national meeting of the NAACP.
There you go.
So I parked my cab, went into the convention center in San Francisco, heard the last part of his speech. Mahalia Jackson was supposed to sing. She had a bad throat, couldn't sing. So I worked my way through the front of the crowd, and I said, "My name is Robert L. Green. I'm Bob Green. I want to get to know you." He said, "Fine. Well, I'm speaking in Berkeley, California in 2 weeks. Come over there." And I did. I met him. That was 1955, 56 or so.
Okay.
And after I left San Francisco, I did my bachelor's and my master's at San Francisco State. I went up to Michigan State to do my PhD, which I finished in December of 62. In the meantime, I stayed in touch with him, sending $5 to the organization, $5 for the boycott, $5 for this, that, and the other, and just stayed in touch with him.
Wow.
Finally, there was a major project, summer project, after I finished my PhD and became a professor and dean at Michigan State, and we needed to raise funds to run a summer project at Rusk College in Holly Springs, Mississippi.
Okay.
And we were wondering who could help us raise money. I said, "What about Martin Luther King Jr.?" They said, "You can't get him, can you?"
Watch me.
I said, "Oh, try." So it turns out that one of my classmates from San Francisco State was his administrative assistant, just by accident. I called her. He came to Michigan State and spoke. That was in 1964 or so.
So you've always been in the business of helping our youth, helping our young people, and teaching them the importance of education.
Education has been one of the most significant aspects of my life because of my dad and my siblings. But then I called King. He came. We met. We talked. He said, "You ought to come work for me." And I thought about it. I said, "I'm interested." Then he sent Andy Young after me. Andy Young.
And I noticed Andrew Young wrote the foreword in your book that we're going to talk about.
Been a friend for 50 years. Was with him this past weekend.
Matter of fact, I saw him a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
Yes, yeah, when he was here.
Yeah, he was. He spoke at the Village Foundation.
Yes.
And to make a long story short, I ended up working for him. I took a leave from the university. I convinced my wife to pack the bags and pack our 3 little sons. We moved to Atlanta, and I worked full-time for him for slightly more than a year. Then I went back to Michigan State when my time was up, but back and forth working for him off and on in troublesome areas like Selma and etc.
Now, this book that you wrote, At the Crossroads of Fear and Freedom, The Fight for Social and Educational Justice.
That has been completed. I'm working with the editors back at the Michigan State University Press.
Now, this is the one that you're still working on.
Yeah, it should be out Probably in December.
Okay. So you'll come back and talk to us about it.
Yeah, you'll be number one on my list.
Thank you. Oh, number one on your list? That's good for me. Thank you. Now, this one is the one that we were talking about, that the foreword was written by Andrew Young. Expect the most, provide the best. How high expectations, outstanding instruction, and curricular innovations help all students succeed.
Yes. And what we so often have in place for so many minority youngsters, I talk about African Americans today, African American, Hispanic youngsters too, and especially African American boys. We hold low expectations for them. We don't hold high expectations for them. And what I argue here is that there's a strong relationship, and I have data, I have information, I have examples that showing that there's a very strong relationship between high expectations and academic achievement. For example, we do know that African American males drop out and are suspended and expelled at a high rate in the Clark County School District.
Very much so.
But on the other hand, there are some African American males who do well. I'm a member of a men's group. We met last night. We've got African American males in this district. They're not a large number, with 3.8, 3.9 grade point averages from good high schools, Tech High School, Clark High School, who are going on to college. And those are the young people we should hold forth as an example to others, that you can succeed, that is possible.
Yes, you can.
If you work hard, keep your nose clean, stay out of trouble, listen to teachers.
And you've even got it in here, Spotlight Resources, How Children Succeed.
Yeah, it's not rocket science. We tend to make elaborate excuses for youngsters when they fail, whereby the solution for success is simple. Kids should study, listen to their teachers. Teachers should hold high expectations. They should be well prepared, and focus on the problem of how do we best get these youngsters to succeed academically. So it's not complicated. I have examples of young people across the country, African American males and females, who have done well, who go on to schools like Morehouse, Spelman, University of Michigan, Michigan State.
So this
Hampton.
is a good book for not only our children to get, but our parents, because you've got the effective principles, establishing the high expectations, clear standards of attainable academic and behavioral performance, encouragement.
Yes.
I see you say some things about Dr. Mathis, who was one of the best principals when it comes to pushing students in that high academic, and they can attain it.
You know, I looked around the country because I do travel. I have traveled a lot, and I asked people. I started searching for a very effective principal. Where can I find one of the best principals in America? Found out that person is right here.
Right here in Southern Nevada.
Booker Elementary School, I think, for 16 or 17 years.
Yes.
She's now working as a coach over at Matt Kelly, a school that needs help.
Yes.
I might add that, give credit to Superintendent Skorkowski. He bought 13 or 1,400 copies of that book, and it's required reading for his administrators. I'm going to recommend to him that it ought to be required reading for all the teachers.
It should be recommended for the teachers as well. And make it so the parents can get it, because some of the guidelines and some of the things, and understanding the value in being able to evaluate the professionalism and of that teacher, because that's where it's lost, is that teacher. There's no professionalism. There's no quality teaching.
Absolutely.
How are you pushing that student?
You're absolutely right. And too often at schools where we need the best teachers and the most resources. Now, Clark County has been good about getting resources into the two lowest achieving schools, Matt Kelly and Fitzgerald. You know both.
Yes, I do.
They're getting money into those schools. What we need to do now at Matt Kelly, for example, is to find a way to stabilize the teaching force. Getting good teachers in there.
And that's the most difficult thing to do, because they're at a lower economic level of students, and some of the teachers just don't have the patience and the comfortability zone.
They want to go out to Summerlin, Green Valley, the more comfortable areas where youngsters come already ready to learn.
Now, what can parents do to assist the school, I mean, the school can only do so much.
The parent component is so important. I'm working with, this year I'm going to be working with Mr. Fonchez, Leslie Fonchez at Matt Kelly, and Fred Watson over at Fitzgerald. He also will have a coach, Brenda McKinney.
I'm going to have them. Brenda McKinney's already there,
She's
actually.
excellent.
She's
an excellent coach.
She was over at Wendell P. Williams for a while, and she did a wonderful job.
She is one of the best. I would rank her along with Beverly Mathis as being two of the top principals, not just in the area, but across the country, holding high expectations for kids. What parents can do, a parent can be used in a very general sense. A parent might be a grandmother,
cousin,
my grandfather, might be an uncle. What the caretaker can do is find a way to support the learning of kids. You support them by having a clear, clean place for them to study at night, to make sure they're well fed, to make sure they go to class, to bed at a decent hour, so they'll wake up alert the next day. Come to school and visit. Sit in on your youngster's classroom.
Show some interest, absolutely.
Teachers sometimes are very happy when I've seen parents walk into a classroom and all of a sudden youngsters settle down.
That's right.
So the parent component is key.
And that's what we don't have today,
we don't have that strong enough.
But we're working on it. We've got a new program that's come in, My Brother's Keeper.
Yes.
We're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to take a little break right now because we come back because we are talking about the various components, especially in our lower economic schools, whereas parents can help make a difference. We also received a grant, whereas we can make a difference by helping various other organizations collaborate, all to help our students. We'll be right back. The Lillian McMorris Show is produced by Tego and Associates Productions. Multi-camera shoots either in our studio or on location. That's Tego and Associates Productions. Give us a call at 702-509-7728.
You know your business could really benefit from a great mobile app. Being accessible on mobile devices everywhere can take you to new heights of audience interaction that will improve sales, service, and your customers' overall experience of your experience. Thankfully, we're here to help. We can help you build a beautiful mobile app and mobile website. Rely on our expertise to handle everything from start to finish affordably and professionally. Contact us for a free demo to see what an app for your business would look like.
And welcome back. We're talking to Dr. Robert Green. He's been all over the country and decided to, we'll laugh at this one, retire in Las Vegas. He is actually the state chairperson of My Brother's Keeper. My Brother's Keeper was something that President Obama pushed throughout the country, and we got it right here in Las Vegas, Nevada, going through Nevada Partners. Nevada Partners is collaborating with some 100, I think I have a list of almost 100 various organizations right here in Southern Nevada, inclusive of the city of Las Vegas, the Clark County School District, and of course Nevada Partners. And being the state chairperson, you're the person that's going to be pushing this, the goal to combat disparities within minority communities.
Yes. And
disparities specifically educational for our people, our students of color.
Reading is the strongest single predictor. If you sort out all the factors and had to pick out one, the one factor that correlates highly with academic achievement is the ability of kids to read. And so the Obama people were very sharp. They knew the literature. They set that forth as one of the goals, to make sure that every child by third grade is reading at a third grade level.
Right.
And I pushed that. There's one company I'm familiar with out on the East Coast. I won't mention their name, but they argue that kids should be reading at first grade, reading at the second grade level. I visited a school, the Main Street Elementary School outside of Philadelphia. It's Westchester, Pennsylvania. I went into a school which was a prototype of a Matt Kelly.
Okay.
Maybe even more problematic.
Okay.
I sat in classrooms and watched kindergarten children reading at the first grade level because of high expectations, having materials, having the parent component, which you so well know so well. So it can happen. So reading was a big factor. The other thing too many of our young men are suspended and expelled and end up on street corners.
True.
And become a part of what we know as a prison pipeline.
Prison pipeline, and that's where we've got to stop.
We've got to break that. We've got to break that. The main thing is to keep our young people in school. At the high schools throughout the county, we have 49 high schools. And we don't want our high schools to be a factor in facilitating the non-academic achievement of our kids.
Right.
The pipeline.
And the one thing we have, and I'm going to quote her, and I'm very, very pleased to do so, is I have always been a believer in equality for mankind. And see, I know her personally, so I know education is a large component of her thought pattern, said Mayor Carolyn Goodman. Inner city youth and young people of color do not have an equal opportunity in life. It's time for us to step up to the plate and give our young people a better shot at life. And that came from our mayor.
You know, as an urban mayor, and I've known urban mayors throughout my lifetime. Coleman Young and I were very close when he was mayor of Detroit. But looking at the mayors in the various cities throughout the country where we're having difficulty with young men who are shot by police, and we have these police incidents. Carolyn Goodman, I'm impressed by her interest not only in the education of the well-off. You know, she started a major
middle school. I was with her then, yes.
Yeah, she started that school. But she came over to one of our meetings and pledged good city support to the least of these. And that's the key. Martin Luther King Jr. and my dad used to talk about the least of these.
The least of
those who are not in a position to help themselves. And Carolyn Goodman, I agree with you, is supportive of that population.
And the sad thing is, and I got these percentages, in Nevada, the percentage of young black men finishing high school is 52%. Latinos, 48%, compared to our Euro counterparts is 61%.
Yeah. And so we've got to do better. We've got to do better.
And that's kind of where, or that is where My Brother's Keeper is going to come in. Because we've got the collaboration of all of the groups within Clark County.
Just getting the city of Las Vegas and the mayor's leadership, getting the Clark County School District and Patrick Krakowski's leadership, and Dr. Linda Young, president of the school board. Those two people, I believe, are firmly and strongly committed to educating our young people in a positive way, and I support both. And then you tie into that Nevada Partners, Dr. Tiffany Tyler, who has a range of organizations who are prepared and are stepping in to help.
And she said that the areas of a committee are focused on employment, education, housing, health, family engagement, economic development, prevention, food assistance, and transportation.
That's right.
The 9 key areas that she feels that you brought her up, Dr. Tiffany Todd. We all call her Dr. Tiffany. Hey, the 9 key areas that she thinks will, with My Brother's Keeper, will be able to meet some of the goals from the summit that was held.
Right. And the key, again, I think the basic key is making sure young people are fed, prepared to get a good night's sleep. And
they can see.
And a focus on reading, math, and science starting at the first grade, not starting at third grade.
And that's what we do when we mentor with 100 black men. As we mentor, that's what we find. And the reason I say about the being able to see, some of the kids, they can't even see the board.
Well, Dr. Tyree Carr, Morris, Dr. Morris, they have an eyeglass program, and through the Sigma Pi Phi Boule, and they have fit eyeglasses on at least 100 to 150 young people a year. He goes to Haiti and does surgery and helps there, but they also work here in the Prime 6 school area. The area where youngsters really need help.
And that's where we're concentrating with the lack of nutrition.
Dexter Morris. Dr. Dexter Morris, Dr. Tyree Carr, those two work together to make sure that youngsters can see. You're right.
And there's
They can't see
several
the
other
board.
organizations that have a portable bus that they take out to the schools,
Yeah.
whereas they can check the eyesight and help
Dr.
them.
Ken Westfield. I left one off.
You left him out. You're trying to give everybody their props. No, we have to do that. I know.
The Westfield car, that's a
And Dr.
powerful,
Morris.
and Dexter Morris, a powerful three. They fit eyeglasses on a minimum of 150 African American and Hispanic kids every year. We'll have another eyeglass program coming up in the fall. And we will sure need your support in getting that out to the community.
I have
You've
no
always
problem
been
doing
very
that.
helpful.
I will
know a lot about you. I've heard a lot of good things about you.
Thank
and
you.
we're going to continue to seek your support. Because parents need to know. They need to know. If kids can't see, they can't read.
That's right.
Seeing and
You
reading
can't
are
read,
related.
you can't understand.
Absolutely.
We're doing a wellness fair, and there was a pre and post test, and 4th grade youth, boys and girls of color, and they're sitting there and they're asking what this word means and what this word means. And I said, "What grade are you in?" They said 4th grade. And they can't read it and put it together. There's no context clues because they're reading just the words and the but anything in between,
it's missing. You mentioned a key and use a key term, wellness. We want to make sure our kids eat well, eat properly, are fed, and that obesity is an issue too.
Yes,
there's a young lady by the name of Lucille Young, who's a health and wellness expert. She will be working with Matt Kelly, Lucille Young, and Fitzgerald with parents. Obesity is a problem in our community.
It is indeed.
Kids who are overweight. But usually that's not a problem with our children. The problem with our children is they don't get enough of the right kinds of food.
And those are the things that I was about to mention earlier: nutrition,
yes,
parenting,
yes,
and as you stated, reading. Those are the three main.
I like that.
Yes,
you're on target.
Three main the struggles.
Parenting, and reading. If we get those three tied together, our kids will move ahead.
So how do we do that?
By one, making an effort to do it.
Okay.
Making an effort to do it, getting a commitment from teachers to want to do it, monitoring their behavior, monitoring the behavior of principals to make sure we have good principals leading these schools. The success of Booker, to a great extent, was Beverly Mathis.
True.
The success of Wendell P. Williams, to a great extent, was Brenda
Dr.
McKinney. You had good leaders, and those good leaders that go from classroom to classroom to classroom.
And meet with the parents or make the parents come in.
Beverly Mathis always found a way to move teachers out who didn't believe in her kids. She would find a way to do it. Even though there were union regulations, and she abided by those union regulations in a very careful way, but she found a way to get good teachers in her school. So after 5 or 6 or 7 years, she had people like Loretta Lee, who were top-notch teachers, who's now an assistant principal at Matt Kelly, and hopefully will be a principal one day soon.
She will indeed. Being the state chairperson for My Brother's Keeper, how do you feel that we're going to find ways to ensure these students read at the grade level that they should, have the parental support, have the nutritional values?
By monitoring what happens with these youngsters on a day-to-day basis. In schools, are they coming in every morning on time, getting a nutritious meal? I have been at Matt Kelly and impressed early in the morning about the nutritious breakfast they get, the nutritious lunch they get. Monitoring these youngsters to make sure they're there every day so they get a meal. That's number one.
That's right.
Number two, I call it staggered measuring of reading progress. Don't measure their reading progress just once a year.
No.
Do it intermittently.
Right. That's what I said with the pre and the post test. That's what it meant by this.
Intermittent.
Right. So where are
measurement.
they? Yeah, and parents can help with that. If they can't read that stop sign or that billboard as they're walking down the street, there you should see that there's a challenge there.
And not only, there are some parents who aren't reading very well. They slip through the cracks. So the one thing Beverly Mathis did with her summer reading program last summer, and she has one this summer coming up, they include parents as well.
That's right.
I think on June 8th, Lisa Morris Hibbler has funded a reading program that's going to be based at Booker. We're going to have 125 young people in that program. The focus will be on reading, but they'll also get help in math if they need it. So there are ways to get this done.
Okay.
It takes commitment.
It takes commitment, and that's the bottom line is commitment to you, commitment to your child, and commitment to the school that our children go to. But these commitments have to be done by us. We have to commit because the child cannot raise itself, and that's what's happening in this day and age, unfortunately.
Too many young people don't have the support they need. I've seen it. And they come to school tired, sleepy, irritable. Teachers see their irritable. And then the teachers become irritable.
Right.
And then the kids are in trouble.
We've been talking to Dr. Robert Green, and Dr. Green has elaborated on various ways and created various ways of eliminating. We're going to talk more, not today, about that school to prison pipeline, because that addresses a lot of the disproportionate number of minority children that enter the juvenile justice system. We didn't get to talk about that today, but I want you to come back and we will talk about that.
Maybe when my book is out at the end of the year.
How about that?
That might be, because I talk about justice in that book.
Okay.
That would be a good time to talk about that.
Dr. Robert Green, he is the state chairperson for My Brother's Keeper. My Brother's Keeper, we're one of 100 school districts or the Southern Nevada across the nation that were given this grant to help our children of color come up a mark, come up to the standards. And a lot of it has to do with us as parents, with you as a teacher, with you as a principal, with you as a counselor. For more information on My Brother's Keeper, you can call Nevada Partners, actually, and that's 702-924-2100. That's 702-924-2100. And I'm Lillian McMorris. We'd like to thank all of our sponsors, to include Cox 96, and of course, the Seance Corporation, Paragon Gaming, Tego Productions 105.7, and all of you, our community that's watching and taking all of this in. We try very hard not only to entertain you, but give you information. That's what it's about. I'm Lillian McMorris, and we'll talk to you next time.